Alrighty, so I just received the little write-up that Sun Wukong did of the whole incident that happened with Tumorous. So before I begin, I just like to state that I'm a little biased. I think Tumorous is a fucking idiot. Um, I know for a fact that he's tried to scam me in the past out of stashes that were created before um, both the 1111 dupe and the previous dupe that happened where the Portal and Hopper dupe. So these were yeah, it was uh it was not good, basically. He attempted to scam me out of these stashes that were worth at the time probably well over $500. So I think he's a bit of a piece of shit personally. So without further ado, I'll start into this. So this is from here onwards, I'll quote. It's all what Sun Wu wrote. I'm not really gonna add any anecdotal thoughts in. I'll just read it as is. 2B2T is really an interesting place, full of most intense autism and outlandish stories of success. Yes, success in a block game. How autistic, but it's true. Now, I cannot hope to compare to the other tales before this, but I'll try to make this a Christmas tale to remember. As Henry can tell you, I'm not exactly easy to anger, not truly at least. Demon Elite can at least attest to that, but if there was ever something that could get on my nerves, then it is toxic base mates. Tumor is one such base mate. While undoubtedly smart and really good at public relations, he is also incredibly difficult to deal with, should he feel slighted or bored in any way. It seems to be very childish, first off. Thus, one day after hearing he had died at his stash and sent back to spawn, without a fast way to get back, I started to consider robbing him. Before this he had spoken about the stash in voice chat, and I remember the details he shared. Biomes, structures, etc. But I didn't do anything until he got particularly caustic in voice. So I told Henry about my plan, and after 15 minutes of searching on, presumably amidst, I found Tumor's stash. He hadn't done a good job of moving away from the base. I had waited too long, however. The only thing remaining at the stash was a double chest of elytra and some pickaxes. Regardless of the apparent useless nature of the elytra for me, Henry decided that they were worth taking. After moving everything of value out to a spot for later transportation, I had to make a choice. Either leave everything empty and leave no other trace, or leave clues that pointed to a third party and incite paranoia in Tumor. Now personally, I'm a big fan of paranoia. I think that it is an extremely useful tool, and that paranoia has probably caused more bases to be griefed than actual griefers, like physically destroyed. But I won't really get into that too much because, well, paranoia really is an art on 2B2T. It's fantastic. The chance to bait him was too great and too good to pass up, so I made a portal and nether tunnel, which led to a cabin in the middle of an ocean, enough to present it as evidence and screenshots to Tumor when the time came. And it worked perfectly. A hasty call late at night by Tumor to Tim McNukepants and myself gave me a chance to avoid direct suspicion and even get confirmation of the location of the rest of the stash. It didn't matter that it was being moved by Tumor, as by now I knew it was only a matter of time before I found it. See, Tumor loved to share screenshots of his stashes on the Discord. He is also very fond of exaggeration when talking about distances. So I had a rough idea of where his stash was when he said, "This time I moved it over 100,000 blocks away." What I didn't expect was what happened mere hours after the theft. Tim had found a brilliant spot for a spawn base. He was even excited of the idea to build something. However, I wasn't the only one tired of Tumor's attitude, and it showed when Tim refused to invite him to the base. The butthurt was real. Even after admitting that he would contribute nothing to building the base, Toomer demanded an invitation, and after asking non-stop, he got the coordinates only to leak them in public chat. What a fuck move, frankly. Fucking Tim did not take kindly to that, and even after denials and telling us that he only leaked fake coords to the base, was considered dead on arrival. Just as I thought that I would have to wait weeks before doing anything else to Toomer because of the incident, Tim sent me a message, offering me the chance to find his other stash. Toomer had apparently given him coords to a spot close enough that a grid search was possible. I still don't know if Tim knew or suspected me of the original theft back then, but I had to maintain a believable act the whole time. Of course, since moving the first part wouldn't have been possible in time without Henry, Toomer logged in just as we were done, I found a way to include him in the second part. Now he had coordinates, screenshots, and another partner. The search began first in the mist, to look for terrain to match the screenshots, but it was taking too long, and as the hours became long and the night ran deep, I decided to try another strategy. A mist had been useless to find a specific spot, but it did find 3 biomes that matched the screenshots, all within 20,000 of the coordinates Tim was given. Thus, I began flying in a grid, over 200,000 in each direction, and wow was it tiring. From 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., I flew discarding 2 of the biomes before I gave up and decided to try the next day. Now, for a little deviation, the next day was the day Trump got elected, and the entire world was watching. Lucky for me, that meant my work that day consisted on following the news, so I could stay at home and search some more. And on that November morning, it happened. I found the stash on the last spot we got in amidst. Since this was before the 11/11 dupe leak, the contents were substantial. 5 double chests or so of each armor piece, 2 double chests of tools and weapons. The bows were rather underwhelming, what with how they were missing enchants, mainly unbreaking. Now that's just piss poor, Tumorous. You can fucking dupe XP pots and books, and you're gonna cheap out on bows. As well as some emerald blocks taken from the lands, something Tumorous got when he went there with Jared. Now, a little clarification on this. Tumorous, when he went out to the land of North, he actually brought with him end crystals, which he provided to Jack the Ripper, allowing him to crystal Rusher and Jared in Rusher's pretty shitty, albeit, video. So I do give Tumorous credit for doing that much. I'm sure that if he had asked Jack to have some emerald blocks, Jack gladly would have given them to him. So I don't actually know if he stole the blocks, but either way, he got them from the lands. But I bear no ill will against him for that, because he made that fateful video with Rusher getting fucking bombed happen, which I'm ever so grateful for. So, yeah, let's continue. But the biggest thing in there, and the one that would hit Toomer the worst, was the gapples. I didn't know it until after I took them, but Toomer had emptied his ender chest to move items before disconnecting for a while. I'd stolen the gapples in the period when he was offline. It was a 1 in a million scenario, and it worked better than I could have imagined. I'm sure that some of you remember that the Impact is backdoored meme was spreading around Reddit for a while, and this is due to Tumorous making a post in the subreddit about the theft and the backdoor after he was done raging in Discord. This is the fantastic part to me, because Tumorous was fucking all over the place on Reddit claiming that there was a backdoor. He probably went through the Impact client like 2 or 3 times, deobfuscated, and he just could not find shit. It was fantastic. Alright, so, and that MC Leaks pick, it was made as a joke to mock Toomer in the Impact Discord, but he believed it, and he raged, and thus, with absolutely no effort, Toomer fell prey to his paranoia. It was so strong that after he saw the theft, and assumed that Impact was stealing his session ID. He killed his alt to spawn and asked Tim to move his stash to safety. And Tim did do it, to the safety of our own stash. Best part, as this was going on, Trump was winning the election. Every chest Tim, Henry, and I moved to a temp spot, and every joke in the voice chat about the election was mirrored by yet another state going red on the electoral map. God Emperor Trump was giving us his blessing, and we couldn't disappoint. Tumor was unaware and unable to interrupt the theft, and he was convinced it was the Impact developers messing with him. We were clean. I do admit, though, that I wouldn't have stolen so much if it wasn't for one fact. Tumor had taken items from Mirrodin, Paint Cannon, aka retard, and Tim to sell without them knowing. Now that is fucking dirty. Literally stealing from your base mates and honestly from your friends. Like, these are people that you're in a group with that's larger than just a single base, which doesn't happen a lot on 2B2T. Like, that takes a lot of trust. And Tumorous is stealing items from them and selling them on the open market. And thus the day ended with Tumor poor and believing that the client he used was backdoored, mocked and discredited in-game and on Reddit, and Trump was president. In the aftermath, we found out his PC was wrecked and Tumor missed the 1111 dupe as a result. So if you want to take something out of this, take my advice. Don't be an asshole to your base mates. Merry Christmas, 2B2T. And Tumor, I hope you choke on dicks. Well, thank you very much all for listening. And I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year's.